Now, I told you I'd show you a bit more of Sam Kekovich. I'm old enough to remember him playing AFL footy or VFL footy back in the day, but his hilarious lamb ads have now been a regular part of our Australia Day sense of humour for about 14 years. And in this year's big production number, inspired by our response to the pandemic, the campaign took aim at our ridiculous, hard state borders.
Today marks 10 years since our once united nation was divided by the great state walls as tensions continue to escalate. An increasing number of Victorians have applied for weather asylum in the Northern Territory, while Queensland stands on the
Yep, the humble lamb chop bringing down the hard borders. The state borders are a joke, aren't they? They remain a joke. Remember when Western Australia closed the borders last year while people were flying in from interstate? So the rules changed while people were in the air and they were thrown into quarantine, treated like that in their own country. Remember in November last year when South Australia locked down the whole state over a couple of dozen mild cases and then tried to blame it all on a pizza delivery guy? Then Queensland earlier this year said, hold my beer, and they shut down all of Brisbane for a few days over one case, one infection. Well, the federal government has done the same thing now. As we mentioned last night, just over 24 hours ago now, Cabinet closed the New Zealand travel bubble for at least 3 days because of one case, one new infection across the Tasman. This is no way to treat people, to treat businesses, to treat families, to treat borders or how to run a country. Sure, it's only 3 days, they'll say, till we know more and work out whether we can reopen the bubble. But for some people, that suddenly means 14 days in quarantine or being separated from family or destroying their holiday plans or undercutting businesses and jobs. It's just too drastic, too quick, and it's way out of proportion when it comes to the risk involved. This is COVID. Most people don't get sick. The vaccines are being rolled out. The treatments are pretty good. Yet we shut a border, an international border, because of one case. Sorry, Canberra has to show better leadership than this. How can Scott Morrison put pressure on the states like Western Australia and Queensland and South Australia to open up to the rest of the country when he's prepared to slam the door on the New Zealand border in this way? By the way, maybe all these states with the closed borders ought to be last on the queue for the vaccines. If they want to shut everyone out and remain completely COVID-free, they don't need a vaccine anyway. The vaccine is needed most in New South Wales, where they take in most of the overseas arrivals, providing quarantine services for the nation, and where that state in New South Wales does its best to remain as open as possible. So obviously it's New South Wales that should have first dibs on the vaccines. Might be something in that.